Nakakagaya ang mga boses, pero ang pinaka Hi guys, I didn't record. I did, but things come out. I was helping my mom, so yeah, that's it so far. Yeah. Nah. Hả? Oh? Independent. Pay the car. There you go. So you know. Many legends. Bye-bye.
Dad,
Ma!
yung flashlight naman dyan, no?
That's a... Bakit?
Mas nilagay pagkain ko sa yung friend ko doon sa labas.
Saan labas?
Dyan, no?
Like, saan labas?
Dyan sa may mga puno.
Hindi na ba naman nalilipis? Hindi pala to.
Tumaluwa ka dyan mamaya.
Ha?
Ano ba kumusta?
Ito na ba pinakamalaki?
Oo.
Maliit
Maliit na na.
Ay.
Mamaya ano dyan pagmaluwa ka mo?
Ha? Ano sa mga dito nila para uminis yung kwarto?
Maaf. Nah. Last time is 11 cm. Wala, ako na ito yun. Mabigay. Na. Eh, iba dito na. Ma.
stressful couple of weeks for me, and I was really pressed for time before our game's deadline, so I had to stay at the office late almost every night that week. It was a rainy Wednesday night of that week. It was completely pitch black outside, with the occasional strike of lightning lighting up the place, and the sound of the rain pouring on my office window was helping me concentrate on the coding. There was one other person in the office at this point, my coworker Chaz. He was finishing up on his work as well. He was also pressed for time with a strict deadline. By now it was easily between 8 and 9 o'clock, and Chaz knocked on my office door before telling me he was heading out. He asked if I was okay lodging on the place, and I told him of course. And he was all busy. I had to keep myself awake, as I was starting to doze off. So I went.
Having spoken a word to anyone since, was dealing with it in her own way, 26 on board, during the relation flight. But she was dealing with it in her own way. I'm not sure if it was the trauma of the crash, or the guilt of being the only surviving passenger of the 226 on board the doomed Malaysian flight, but she was dealing with it in her own way, despite not having spoken a word to anyone since. I took some time off work and found a new place. The apartment was older, but a lot more spacious, and I think we were both looking forward to starting a new chapter together and put all the bad stuff behind us. The next day was my first day back to work since the accident, and although I still didn't feel too comfortable leaving her alone in the apartment, I figured some time to herself was exactly what she needed. After a long day at the office, I arrived home later than usual, rather surprised to see that all the lights were out. This really worried me at first because I thought perhaps she left the apartment by herself. But then I saw her in the bedroom, alone, sitting in the dark. Olivia was never fond of the dark before, but it wasn't the first change of habit that I'd noticed recently. After turning the lights on, I decided to make myself use it must have left behind. Inside the box was an old cassette recorder stashed on top of a Ouija board. But just as I was about to place the box onto the worktop, I was startled by the sound of the intercom, which caused me to let out a frustrating grunt before dropping the box onto the floor. I wasn't expecting any deliveries, and it was already quite late in the evening. When I asked who it was, I didn't receive a response, and all I could hear was a faint clicking sound, and I'm going down the hallway, I asked again, but decided just to ignore it, which is when I noticed that Olivia was standing in the kitchen, staring down the hallway. I couldn't ignore the disturbed look on her face, but when I asked what was wrong, she looked at me briefly before quickly resuming her gaze towards the closet, the ordinary. So I done around the when I noticed that I carried on with some things was it when I realized Olivia was acting so spooked, so I reminded
Please, you must help us. We're trapped inside. Anyone there, please? Please, our souls.
Olivia, what's wrong? Even after stopping the tape, I could still hear that creepy message playing back in my head. But where was it coming from? Why couldn't I hear it before? And what did Olivia see in the hallway? I had a strong feeling that it had something to do with the closet. But what? Clearly, I wasn't going to be able to get any sleep without knowing for sure, so I slowly began my approach towards the end of the hallway, which is when I felt a cold chill rushing in from the bedroom. I had to check on her first, to make sure she was alright. my eyes adjusted to the dark, and while I was waiting, I proceeded to the window to make sure it wasn't open, but the Chiro. What gave me the creeps is that he was staring directly at me, even though the lights in the bedroom were out. Maybe he was the stranger buzzing at the door earlier, and was looking to see if anyone was home. Either way, it gave me this uncanny feeling. As I returned to the hallway, I could hear the shower, which usually meant that Olivia was already getting ready for bed. So I walked up. Then I saw something.
What's wrong?
This past year changed everything we know. How we work.
The radio was busted, and the particular where I was vibrating. The running inclined, the cup, and often properly. I looked up very quickly whilst I in the deck, down to you next. She began slowly, began raising her attention. Look there, what I asked them to do. Just moved over to where I laughed with what really got even shock. After a moment, but again, how people was more close, partially submerged, came to realize that.
Warning, may contain disturbing content. Viewer discretion advised. Interstate rest area and truck stop employees. What's the most bizarre story you have? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your own stories. I worked at a gas station / truck stop for over a year in high school. I have lots of stories. So, one time I'm closing up the station. I was starting to count the till before I turn on the security system and leave. I've got a wad of 20s when 4 cop cars come ripping into our lot. I run to the windows. 2 cops go to the back, and the other 2 position at the corners where it's hard to see them through the windows. Now, I'm an idiot high schooler, so I'm trying to look out the window grasping $300 in the 20s. When I realize they've got weapons drawn and are trying to look at me, I put my hands up, cash in hand, and start yelling that I'm an employee. They let me unlock the door and come in. They were nice but clearly frustrated that I set off the alarm. I tell them 4 to 5 times that the alarm was not set, but they insist that I'm wrong and that they had a clear security system. So I took them to the panic, verified it was off. Then my smarts kick in. Hey guys, what address was the alarm for? 303 Bay. Why? That's not our address. That's ABC Supply of Lockmill. They moved quickly to that business. I heard later that the safe was taken from that supply store. I worked at a weigh station for big rigs. There were 2 of us at the station working nights waiting for trucks to pull onto the scale. If anything weighing more than a pound got on the scale, it would send an audible beep into the booth and light up the computers. If it wasn't a truck, then most of the time, it would be the wildlife wandering out onto the scale, which we would ignore and then quickly go back to watching Netflix or whatever. One night though, there was something weighing 132 pounds. We couldn't see it from the windows, but checking the cameras, we noticed it was a hunched over naked man shaking like a shitting dog and scratching the side of his face. While my coworker radioed for the state troopers, I used the intercom to tell him to get off of the stair. Instead, he lurched on over and began licking the window. He did this until he was checked out by the police and taken away by law enforcement for public intoxication. It was later discovered he was using meth. Years ago, when I was a kid, we were traveling with my mom, her best friend, and my sisters. We were pretty tired and pulled into a truck stop for some food and a bathroom break. We walk in. My mom asks the guy where the bathrooms were. He points us in the right direction, and off we toddle. We come out, take a seat and wait for the waitress to come to take our order. She seems to be taking a while, but we figure she's probably busy and will come when she can. Eventually, she comes over and tells my mom that everything is okay and the police are on their way. My mom, Pretty confused, asks her what she means. Well, turns out we had walked into the middle of an armed robbery, and my mom had actually asked the robber where the toilets were. Not an employee, but a frequent cross-country traveler. Weirdest was pulling up to a truck stop to fill up in southeastern South Dakota during the height of the mayfly hatch. Millions of bugs all over. I started filling up and was getting ready to clean my windshield, and I happened to look over across the way, and there was some dude driving a big box truck in the diesel fueling area. He was scraping them off the front of his truck and eating them by the handful. The days before cell phones were a thing. Not me, but my dad managed a truck stop for a year or so. At this truck stop, drivers could get a shower, but it's time since there are usually multiple people waiting to get one as well. One day a guy is showering, and his time is up, but he didn't come out. One of the employees knocked and requested he come out so the next person could shower, but still no response. They eventually entered the shower to find the man dead. It turned out that he had suffered a major heart attack while he was in there. Another one, and apparently this is somewhat common, a truck transporting honeybees left the stop, but the queen from one of the hives had taken residence in or around the pump while the truck was stopped. They had to get a beekeeper out to capture and move the queen and her colony before they could let anyone near the fuel pumps. Worked at a highway fast food place for about 8 years on and off. One story has always been my favorite. The night the mop was stolen by the stone guy. The store was just outside a small town that day beside the highway. One night it was about 11 p.m. and it had been quiet for ages. We had started to shut down and clean the dining room. There was only one other person in here working. We had done about half and were taking a break having a chat behind the counter, killing time until we could officially shut and do the other half of the dining room. The front door's open, and our immediate reaction is, customers. These customers stopped just inside the door and just stared. We realized they were locals, and they were high as kites. One of them just stands in the doorway, looking around in stone wonder. The other sees the mop bucket we had left out there, in preparation for doing the other half of the dining room. He proceeds to pick up the mop, walk a lap around the restaurant dragging it behind him on the floor, leaving a huge wet, dirty trail. Then he and his maid turn and walk out the front door with the mop. It was one of those moments where you honestly don't know how to react. We just looked at each other and pissed ourselves laughing. We then discovered it was a huge problem. It turns out that was our only mop. We had to leave the floor dirty. The worst part was the restaurant manager was doing open the next morning. We left notes everywhere explaining what happened, but I still got a call at 5 a.m. bitching me out for leaving the store in such a state, even though she was the reason we didn't have a second mop. Too expensive apparently. No one believed us, and we didn't have security cameras to back us up. Fast forward about 6 weeks. One of the locals comes to work, thankfully when my manager and I were both working, and he walks in carrying the mop that had been stolen. He found it in the bushes on the back path from the rest stop to the town. Even now, almost 20 years later, I'm friends with the guy I was working with, and we often reminisce about the night the stone guy stole our mop. So random. Up there with the night the cat got stuck in my engine. I worked in a sandwich restaurant at a truck stop. One day several years ago, on one of my days off, one of our maintenance workers, we'll call him Michael, was doing his rounds changing trash cans in the truck parking lot. Michael supposedly happened across a 2 or 3 foot length of PVC with caps on either end. For most people, alarm bells should be going off. Not for Michael. He started lightly beating things with it and tossing it on the ground. Like one would with a small branch or something. Guy takes it into the truck stop and throws it away in the garbage can under the cash register and forgets about it. Several hours later, at shift change, he's giving an informal report to the incoming shift manager and casually mentions that he found something like a pipe bomb or something in the lot and that he threw it away under the register. The shift manager goes white as a ghost and says, "There's a pipe bomb under the register?" Michael says, "Yeah." The shift manager immediately vacates the premises, herds all the employees and customers out, and phones the authorities. The volunteer fire department, which I happen to be a member of, got toned out to block traffic into the parking lot and keep people at a distance. The sheriff's department shows up, realizes this is above their pay grade, calls the state police. They quickly realize the same and call in the bomb squad from the nearest major city and the ATF. All these important people are slowly gathering in the parking lot a healthy distance away from the building while I keep having to run back and forth across the parking lot in the 95-degree heat in turnout gear to explain to pissed-off truck drivers that no, they cannot go in the truck stop while there's a bomb inside, and no, I did not make that rule. The news ends up showing up. The ATF shows up. They suit up in bomb suits, walk in, carry the pipe bomb out, set it on the ground at the corner of 2 concrete walls of the building, run some detonation cord back to their truck, and set it off. The explosion was the size of a somewhat large firecracker. Michael got fired. Overnight shift supervisor 15 years ago. On Valentine's Day, then 18 years old, I was the only lonely motherfucking shift supervisor to be able to work second shift at MCB's rest area because, again, lonely with no date. I'm half asleep working the shift. The guy comes in high as a kite. Actually, he's higher than kites can go. He orders his food and leaves. An hour later, my cleaning guy, we'll call him Pedro, tells me there's a guy on the toilet that won't come out. We go in, keep knocking, and we're thinking he's sleeping on the shitter. We can see his pants around his ankles, and he's leaning down. While I go call the cops, I tell my cleaning guy to block the bathroom, so no one goes into that part of it. There are 2 sides to the bathroom. Pedro comes out and tells me the guy is purple and dead, on the shitter. He overdosed on something, not sure what. The kicker is that Pedro decided it was in his best interest to run the guy's pockets before the cops show up, which is how he found out the guy was dead. Pedro took the guy's stash and money before leaving. I found out a week later as I overheard it through the crew talking. Fun times at that place. Felt bad for the guy. I wouldn't want to go out that way. I used to work at a video clipper room at a truck stop. A guy comes in, already so sloppy drunk that he can barely walk, thrusts a 44-ounce foam cup in my face, and tells me to fill it with whiskey. I tell him, first, that would be $88. Second, I can't serve alcohol to someone who is already drunk. And third, I can't use an outside cup. He stops and stares at me for a moment, then thrusts the cup in my face and repeats himself. I tell him that it's not happening because I cannot for both legal and business policy reasons. He tries to get aggressive, but stumbles and falls over, so I tell the security guard, who was about as useful a coloring book to a blind person to call the police. Dumbass was watching the whole thing and couldn't be bothered to even get off of his stool to do anything. And then, it happens. He pukes all over himself on the floor. When the cops arrive, we're all standing over this guy who is trying to get out of the puddle of puke and failing miserably, and is only succeeding in spreading. The police decide to call an ambulance because he is far gone enough that he could have alcohol poisoning. I tell the security guard to go get some cat litter out of storage that we usually use to clean up fuel spills. Once he gets back, one of the cops got it in his head that we should take the guy out back and hose him off. So they put on rubber gloves and carefully half-drag, half-carry the guy outside, take everything out of his pocket, and use a hose to spray him off. So now, not only is this guy half dead from drunkenness, he smells like alcoholic vomit, and spraying him off only made him smell worse because apparently he had soiled himself earlier, and it had dried, so it didn't smell too terrible. Spraying him did wake him up, though, so he starts trying to get up, but can't because he's sloppy drunk, and isn't really coherent. The ambulance arrives, they strap him to the gurney, and drive him off. The guy never came back to the video photo room, so I don't know if he survived. What I do know is that the cops were obviously disgusted by the whole thing because I could see one guy gagging from time to time, and I took a look to see if everything was all right.
Things that I've come to love about Thanksgiving as a German expat in the US. First of all, I really like how many holidays Americans celebrate in the fall and winter. In Germany, it's mainly just Christmas, but here you have Halloween and Thanksgiving first, and Thanksgiving almost feels like a little Christmas, which I love. I also love how it's an additional family holiday where most people get to see their extended family and spend some quality time with them. Number 3 is that I really like the fall theme of Thanksgiving. All those decorations just really make you appreciate the fall season even more and get you into that holiday spirit. We don't really have a fall-themed holiday in Germany, at least not one that we actually celebrate. Also, for me as a vegetarian, traditional Thanksgiving food is pretty great, except for the turkey of course, but the sides are mostly vegetarian. And last but not least, I really like the idea of dedicating the day to being grateful. Of course, people do that for Christmas as well, or just without any occasion, but I like that many people take the time to actually articulate what they're thankful for. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone!
Your work can feel much smoother with Monday.com WorkOS. This smooth.
Doorbell cameras will teach you to. Sometimes these doorbell cameras capture incredible, funny, but sometimes these doorbell craziest and funniest doorbell camera clip like this one. This son seems to have had a little too much to drink and forgets that his dad's birthday party is meant to be a surprise.
Dude, how are you the last one to show up to your own party? That is messed up. It's a birthday party. What are you talking about? What? Surprise party. Surprise party? Are you drunk? Birthday, it's a party. You guys can come out there, mess this up. Seriously. Where all the cars were? How stupid can you be? Somebody, you just made it a surprise party.
Runs into the house, seriously trips while running. Red-handed, just as he wasn't caught.
You guys should got an on before you get pulled in. Check your rifle.
Neighbor gets.
Yeah.
Girl's Jamaican neighbor doesn't like trick or treat. Destroyed the Ring doorbell camera. Karma for trying to destroy the Ring doorbell camera. Gets karma for trying to destroy the Ring doorbell camera. Laying the package be by the door. Instead, he decides to practice his aim with this package. Someone had tried to break in at 3 a.m. Instead, she found this goofy guy having the time of. Dad tries to act like he didn't break the glass.
Here you go.
Doorbell camera. Of squatting, the woman lies and says she works for the state, but she's really just being a nosy and irritating neighbor.
Who are you? Investigator from the California State Board of Equalization.
Okay, so what are you looking for?
Do you own this property? Are you the owner?
For?
I'm looking for the owner of the property.
Well, then I'm pretty sure if you're the tax fraud investigator for the state of California that you'll know how to find the property owner.
Well, if you're not the tenant on the lease, then I'm going to have the police out here and have you removed in 2 days. You understand?
You're funny.
You laughing at me?
You look like you're on drugs.
Unless you, looks like you're on drugs.
Well, you're being
So, not quarters here at the.
Handle your business.
Remove from this property in 2 seconds. Construction without a license.
Handle your business, bitch.
That'll call him.
House like shit.
You look like shit. Go take a shower.
They can also be used just halfway around the world from his kids. The camera capturing the funny moment. Fits. Nothing. Woman pulls a knife on her neighbor. And attempts to burn a black Walmart, but she couldn't have been more lucky, as this wonderful Florida man drove to her house and returned it.
Amazon Daxis. Well, I'm putting about Amazon Daxis.
mistakes the owners for a furry toy, though he thought. Pro athlete, or so they thought. For a little longer ride this morning than expected, as Mom let go of the throttle. Didn't get her her 3 stairs. Stairs. This disturbing footage shows a young woman abandoning her 3-year-old boy at a stranger's house. When the homeowner opened the door, she pushed the baby in the door and walked away. The woman was later arrested and charged for unlawful desertion of a child and child neglect. She also said she abandoned her son because he had gotten sick with scabies, a contagious itchy skin rash, and could apparently no longer take care of him. The kid was placed in the care of washing in the middle of the night, and for some reason he's also fully naked, dancing mailman. Trying to. This cat is desperately trying to alert the owner to open the door. Homeowner's dog. Because in this next clip was chased by that dog, he would probably pass out because go as planned. There's to do. Well, let me show you something that is always funny. The things that have happened very shortly recently.
So if you missed last week, here's the landscape that was presented in terms of where impact investing is. So you don't know enough about those three companies that Rachel organization created as a nonprofit. Well, then this is a pretty good match. Right? So there are nonprofits that do break even. There are nonprofits that make money but still try and maximize their impact, like this one over here. And there are for-profits that are not out to make a profit. There are companies that have just decided that partner. But we don't know what form of structure. The normal way to invest is equity. Equity is in buying shares, owning part of the company. But in emerging markets in Africa, it's extremely common to see debt investing, despite the see it in other equity because they can look at daycare with nonprofit. And it's hybrid. And hybrid is that whole green section that's overlapping. And so then you have a company that may in fact be two companies. Or you may have a company that's multiple pieces. So this shows up in multiple forms as well. Really quickly, on the for-profit side, it shows up as either a philanthropic investment. So it's possible to take philanthropic dollars and use them to invest in for-profit. That sounds a little strange, but my nonprofit, that's what we do. That's what we specialize in doing. And the other one is called fiscal sponsorship. It is legal to donate to a nonprofit and then have that nonprofit give most of the money to the for-profit to do the work.
If you enjoy spending more time on business, I would recommend you do that.
620, Mike Bird, Excel. If you want to apply, you'll have to choose one of these options. Before we get started, let's check it. Well, the main factors that will likely make your decision have to do with the price and also the features available. With Office 2021, you pay a one-time fee and you get a perpetual or lifetime license to Office. So if you're still using this copy of Office that you bought, say 6 years from now, you don't have to pay Microsoft again. Office 2021 comes in two different versions. You have Home and Student, and that costs $150. With that, you get the desktop apps for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and you also get Microsoft Teams. There's another version called Home and Business. That costs Home and Student, but you also get the addition of Microsoft Outlook, plus you can use it for commercial purposes. Now, if this option sounds pretty good, unfortunately, there are some downsides. Microsoft definitely wants more people to choose the Microsoft 365 option. With Office 2021, you can only install it on one PC. So if you have two PCs, you'll have to buy another license. Also, with this option, you'll never again get any feature updates. So it truly is what you buy is what you get. This is probably the best option if you really just despise subscription fees and you don't really care about getting all the latest features. With Microsoft 365, on the other hand, this is a subscription offering. So you'll have to keep paying money over time for the privilege to continue using Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Now, obviously, this is Microsoft's preferred option, but why would anyone ever choose to get a subscription over a one-time fee? With Microsoft 365, you'll actually end up paying less in the first 2 years. With the individual plan, it's $70 per year. And with the family plan, which is good for up to 6 people, you'll end up spending $100 per year. With Microsoft 365, you get everything that you get in Office 2021, but you get even more. You get up to 6 terabytes of storage space with the family plan, and that's ideal for backing up those videos. I know at least I personally do that with all of my videos that I upload onto YouTube. With the family plan, you can install Office on up to 30 different devices. I don't have nearly that many devices around my house, but it's nice to know that that's an option. You also get 60 minutes of international Skype calling, you get access to additional apps like Access and Publisher, and you get many other features and services as well. One of the biggest benefits is it's updated over time. So as Microsoft continues investing in it, and as they continue releasing new features, you'll automatically get them as part of your subscription. The best way to visualize the difference: Microsoft 365 is constantly being updated, and you'll frequently see new features land. While with Office, it's just one point in time, and you'll frequently see a new version come out every 2 to 3 years. Now that we've talked about the high-level differences, what's new in Office 2021? You now have something called real-time co-authoring, and that's available in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. This allows you to work with others on the same document. The one caveat is your document has to be stored in OneDrive, but you can access at least 5 gigabytes for free. You also get access to modern comments. You can see who's in your document at the same time. There's also been a visual refresh, and it matches the look of Windows 11. You'll see rounded windows, a more neutral color palette. Don't have to worry about constantly pressing Control S. You can now save documents in the Open Document Format, or ODF. There's an updated Draw tab. You can use a sketch style outline. You can enter hash colors in the color picker. There have also been performance updates across the board. In Excel, there are now many new functions. There's a new one called XLOOKUP, which is quite a bit better than VLOOKUP. It allows you to look things up in your spreadsheet. If you want to learn more about XLOOKUP, check out the video right up above. You can now also use dynamic arrays, like filter, sort by, and there are many others. You can use the let function. And with the let function, you can assign names to calculation results. You can also use xmatch. And with this function, you can search for a specified item in an array, and you can get the relative position back. You can also set up various sheet views to help you get back to the view that you care about. In PowerPoint, you can now record your presentation using video and audio. You can also record your inking on a slide. In Outlook, you can now instantly search for messages. And lastly, you can also ink to annotate your message in Outlook. In Word, there's something new called Line Focus, which helps you read a document by just focusing on one line at a time. Lastly, Microsoft Teams now comes bundled together with Office. Previously, you could download Microsoft Teams, but now it just comes with Office, so you no longer have to go out to get it. So how does all of this new functionality compare to Microsoft 365? Well, it turns out that none of this functionality is new to Microsoft 365. As these new features were developed, they just automatically became part of Microsoft 365. With Office 2019 and then Office 2021, all of these features got bundled, and then every 2 or 3 years, there's a big drop of new functionality. Given all of that, which one should you choose? At least me personally, I have a Microsoft 365 subscription. But then again, I also produce YouTube videos on Office, and I need the latest functionality. I also really like having up to 6 terabytes of space to back things up in OneDrive. To me, that's all very worthwhile. But I can also understand why maybe you don't want another subscription fee. If you're just using Microsoft Word and you need the basic authoring functionality, why pay an ongoing fee?